and a good Sunday to you. Welcome to another episode of JD's Deep Cut Sunday Tracks. Again, where we are exploring, rediscovering, and unearthing older albums, 70s, 80s, sometimes obscure, sometimes not so obscure, but just bands and songs that have been lost along the way. Um, we're in a new musical era, as you all are aware, I'm sure. But I just want to keep these old greats alive, keep them alive. See if people can listen to them again, rediscover how good the old music was. Again, not taking away from anything today. It's a new generation, it's new types of music, and believe me, I do give it a chance. I do listen to a lot of newer stuff, different genres. Some are good, some not so good, not to my like, but I do listen to some of the newer stuff. Okay, but today we're going to do an '80s band. I think got together in late '70s, hit the '80s pretty big. They did do some charters there, especially in Europe. They had a big song in the '80s, which mostly everybody knows that song, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The song is actually titled the same as the band. Maybe some of you know now. I'm not going to talk about that song, but this band again is to me it's a rocky band. Great musicians in the band, great vocals. They were always thrown into the new wave genre for some reason. Although you did hear their songs on classic rock radio, which I love. I love hearing new wave bands songs on classic rock radio. The Police, Simple Minds. You would hear their songs on classic rock radio. U2. It's pretty cool. When that happens. Very rare do you hear a classic rock band or song on a new wave radio station, which we don't have much of anymore. But yeah, this band was played on classic rock radio. That was my first exposure to them back in the mid '80s. Big Country. Okay, that's the band we're going to be talking about. Big Country, and their album Steel Town. This song came off of that album. Their big hit in the '80s, which everybody remembers, is "In a Big Country," almost the same as the band name. But that's usually the song, the go-to song everybody remembers from this band. But the song I'm going to talk about is "Just a Shadow." It's off of the Steel Town album. Okay, it came out in 1984. Okay, this album's a really good album. I love this album. It's my favorite by them. Okay, there's a little bit of a shot of the band. So "Just a Shadow," I love that song because, again, like I mentioned, they had great musicianship. Mark Brzezinski, the drummer, one of the best drummers to me, especially in that genre. Okay, Mark Brzezinski had stints with a lot of bands, a lot of European bands. The Cult, he played with the Cult. He played on the Love album, I believe. Did some work with other bands. Ultravox, I believe, he did some work with them. Rick Astley, I believe, he did some work with him. Even did some work with Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey. So he was a great drummer. But his main thing, of course, was Big Country. I love his style. He's a pounder. My personal favorite drummer, as you can see, I got the drum picture shirt. Is John Bonham. John Bonham, again, may he rest in peace. That was one of the greatest to me, the greatest. Just a pounder, just a pounder at heart. Did his thing, did his uniqueness was that he had that sound, that sound. A lot of the songs, he was a big part of. The drums were a big part of that. You can kind of tell the guitar work in Big Country is patterned with the drums. Okay, I love when bands do that. That's what Zeppelin did. But Mark Brzezinski did that. Big Country used a lot of different instruments: the mandolin, the sitar. Great guitar work. Great guitar work by Stuart Anderson. He was great. You know, he did use a lot of the EBO as well. Okay. Adamson, sorry, not Anderson, Stewart. I'm thinking of Black Angus here. Stuart Adamson, yeah, great guitar player. They had two guitars in the band. Bruce Watson was the other one. I love Tony Butler's bass style. He was amazing. He did a lot of the backup vocals as well. Great bass player. Great Scotsman. You know, this band was from Scotland. Please correct me if I sacrifice this name, but Dunfermline, that's where they're from. Dunfermline, Scotland. Okay. Interesting fact: this album was recorded in Sweden, Stockholm, at ABBA's studio. Okay, pretty interesting there. Okay, thing I read, but check out Just a Shadow. It was between two songs from this album. I love this whole album, but The Great Divide's a great song too. But I don't know, just a shadow to me. It has great guitar work, the lead, the drums again. It's a slower song, not too fast, but the drums again, it is kind of the motor behind that song, Again, I love In a Big Country. That's a good album too, but you hear that song all the time, when Big Country comes up. That's a song you hear on the radio. And I do still listen to classic rock radio, believe it or not. We have a station here in SoCal, okay? We have another station that plays, kind of throws in the pop with the rocky and some slower stuff too, but we still have a shout out to KGB 101, okay? Still going strong, 50 plus years now, okay? So if you're ever in San Diego, check out 101.5, okay? Production by Steve Lillywhite. A great producer. Again, he's produced a lot of bands, Psychedelic Furs, Susie and the Banshees, Morrissey. Did Big Country. This album is really, really good. I highly recommend it. Check it out. If you can do it on vinyl, I think even better. Okay, because again, you get the full scope, the full spectrum when you listen to an album on vinyl. I know we're in a digital age, but vinyl's the way to go if you can do it. Yeah, they were categorized as a new wave band, post-punk. I like to call them still Celtic rock, post-punk. They're to me it's rock and roll. It's rock and roll. You start branching out. I mean, there's many genres of rock. There's many genres of metal. It's getting too crazy. Although we do need a little bit of branching out, but now there's, I don't know how many genres of metal there are, 20, there might be different genres of new wave too. You got the synth pop, you got the gothic, but thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try to get the midweek episode up and running again. Midweek episode again is focusing on kind of the new wave era, gothic as well. Post-punk. Let's do that post-punk era. Dark wave maybe too. Okay, and then the Sunday, of course, I like to keep it a little bit more classic, folk rock, classic rock, 60s. But it's all good. It's all good and fine. Okay. All right. So it's hot today. We're getting that heat wave. But I'll see you on the next one, and tune in, tell a friend about the episode. Thanks for all those views. Right, getting up there now. All right, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, and a good Sunday to you.